Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, today we're talking about the Kershaw Shuffle. Very heavily requested review, just because a lot of people have these things. They want to know my opinion on it. People either love these or hate these. They're very affordable. When I say affordable, they are between 13 and 15 bucks a piece. In fact, there's a couple places that sell a 3-pack, so you can get a set of 3 different ones in different color variations, and that's like $26 or $27. So it could be even cheaper than 13 bucks a piece or 15 bucks a piece, depending on where you get it. Also very popular because Walmart sells this, okay? So people love going to Walmart to see what kind of knives they have, and it's a cheap one, right? Kershaw is a trusted brand. I happen to be a fan of Kershaw, but I'm a fan of a lot of different companies. I think every knife company has some winners and also some knives that not everyone's interested in. But I hear a lot of mixed opinions on this. Some people love theirs, some people hate them. I'm kind of in the middle of the road. If I had to give it like literally a thumbs up or thumbs down, I'd give it a thumbs down just because it is cheap in its price, but it's also cheap in its performance. It has 3 main tools. Obviously, the whole thing's a knife, but they did integrate a bottle opener into this, as you can clearly see right here, as well as that might be a little bit more subtle, but the lanyard hole is also a screwdriver, flathead. You can see how it's tapered down. And you can use that on some larger flathead screws, whatever would happen to fit in that slot. That's a pretty cool design feature. You put a lanyard hole on there anyway. Yeah, why not make it a little screwdriver? That's pretty cool. The bottle opener I only used once to see if it actually worked. It does work as a bottle opener. However, I hate its positioning, which we'll get to in just a moment there. And of course the main blade, a little chunky, stubby blade. Not a great point on there at all. And it's already kind of dull just from use. It does have a soft steel. And that's another thing we're going to get to in a minute because there's some confusion on the steel choices or steel that's provided in this particular model. But I will clear that up in just a moment because there's 2 different versions of the Kershaw Shuffle. And depending on which version you have, there's 2 different steels. So you may own a Shuffle and think it's one type of steel, but it's really the other. So again, we'll talk about it in just a moment. But our specs on here, blade's 2.3 inches. It is a hollow ground drop point style blade. There is dual ambidextrous thumb studs on here. As far as the opening and closing on this, it is very stiff. Okay, I tried adjusting this pivot, just can't get it to where I want it. Right now it has no blade play, but if I back it off the tiniest bit, it will create some blade play, excuse me. But it's just it just rubs, and it's pretty much all Shuffles from what I hear. You can see the detent there, and the detent, that little hole in the blade, is what keeps this in, so it doesn't fall out, right? But you can see how that's just completely scraping on our blade. So that little line, you know, looks like a shooting star or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of rubbage going on there. A lot of people think that's ugly having that scratch, because that's really what it is. It's a big scratch in your blade. But anyway, close length 3.2 inches, overall opens 5.7 inches, and this weighs 2.8 ounces. So let's talk about some of the issues. First, let's talk about that bottle opener. The bottle opener does work. As I said before, I hate the positioning. You can see this, comes brand new, tip up right side carry. The clip is swappable to left side carry, but not tip down. My issue here is this is it, looking down in the pocket. Every time I went to grab this, I only carried it twice for EDC, but every time I went to go grab it and pull it out, I slam my thumb into the tip of this bottle opener. Okay, so it's just uncomfortable. That's all it is. You could swap it to left side carry, but I don't know, then you're moving around every time you open it. You shouldn't have to do that. So as far as the design itself, just don't like the positioning of that bottle opener, okay? You do, where it is, it gives you enough leverage to open the bottle and everything. It's just, as mentioned, uncomfortable to me. Maybe you can overcome that. Maybe some people have. Maybe some people don't care, but I just found I kept jabbing my thumb into that, so not cool. Pocket clip does carry, totally fine. No issues with the pocket clip at all. The actual scales here, which is that glass reinforced nylon, you can see there's the K for Kershaw all over this, or K for KAI, either way, right? Works both ways. KAI obviously makes Kershaw knives. But it's pretty interesting. I like that. It's cool. Not a whole lot of grip, but it does actually have a grip pattern that's meaningful, which is pretty cool. I like that a little bit. Does have a metal liner in here, obviously reinforced so that you can use this as a bottle opener. If you had some G10 or something in there, or some kind of synthetic or plastic, it would probably not be good, so they obviously had to put some metal in there. As far as blade steel, let's talk about this. There's a lot of confusion as to what blade steel had. When this first hit the market, a lot of people, the packaging, said that it had 8 CR13 MOV. But then when you went to the website, if you looked at KAI's website, it said that it had 3 CR13. 3 CR13 is extremely soft. Like 8 CR13 is still soft. 3 CR13 is even softer, even crappier, holds even a worse edge than 8 CR13, which is already subpar for most people. So we have the crappy steel and the super crappy steel, right? Well, which one does yours have? The crappy steel or the super crappy steel? Well, after doing a lot more research, it turns out that there are 2 versions of this knife, 2 different models. This happens to be a model 3800, which is on the back of the knife itself. And the 3800s have the even crappier steel of 3 CR13. Okay, it's very soft, doesn't hold an edge. If you don't mind sharpening your knives all the time, or if you don't use them really that much, it's not really an issue. And a lot of people who like this knife, those are those people. They just don't use their knives like all the time or every day. They use them occasionally and they sharpen them when they get dull, and it's not really an issue. That's fine. But yeah, to clarify that, the model 3800 has the 3 CR13. The other version of this knife is the 8700. The 8700 has the upgraded 8 CR13 MOV. Now, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the 3800 was one of the original models, and then they did change the steel, and now most of them are the 8700. But it will definitely say it on your blade. So if you're wondering which blade steel you have or which version you have, it's either the 3800 or the 8700. Okay? So just an important note if you're into your steels and want to know more about your particular knife. The 3-packs that you see, those I believe are mostly the 8700s, which are the newer versions, or the 8CR13 MOV versions. So, does that sound confusing? Hopefully you understand what I'm saying there. Yeah, I mean, 8CR13, it's not great at all. I'd much prefer that over this one. This performance did stink. Did not take long to start dulling out that blade. It's still somewhat of a usable edge, but it's at the point where I wouldn't carry it. I'd want to, at this point, maintain it and sharpen the edge so that I'm not struggling to cut things. That's when you get into problems, and as you've probably heard a million times from me, but from everyone else as well, is a safe knife is a sharp knife. Okay, the people who cut themselves are usually struggling to cut something. So when you have a semi-dull knife or a completely dull knife, you're using way more pressure, trying to cut things, and that's when you slip off and end up cutting yourself or someone else. So yeah, a little confusing on the steels there. I don't know if they did like a specific run, because there was an assumption there that the Walmart versions were the cheaper ones because they were even more mass produced and blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. But the one thing that is definitely confirmed, 3800 is 3 CR13 and the 8700 is the 8 CR13 MOV. So yeah, I mean, overall, if you're talking about, you know, what Kershaw should you get, this is not the one, in my opinion. It's not a horrible knife. I do like the ergonomics of it. You can see there is a blade trail here, so your pointer finger lands right up there, up tight. I haven't used it down here. I don't have that much grip because I have no pinky on there and half a ring finger. So naturally, I just choked up, you know, and used it like this. And it feels pretty comfortable. I thought maybe that this bottle opener would be uncomfortable in the hand, but it's not. Your hand wraps around there. No hot spots to me at all. But again, just the issue with dipping into the pocket and poking that, you know, the tip of that. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's not a great knife. A lot of people do own it just because it's cheap. It's cheap and available. It will cut stuff, but you know, if you plan on cutting lots of stuff, you know, learn how to sharpen your knives because you're going to need to sharpen this often. So, not a fan of it. But there are, you know, a bunch of varieties. If you're into collecting knives, then yeah, sure, you know, get the 3-pack. The one thing this really has going for it is it makes a great gift, okay? Specifically if you're on a budget. You want to get a couple knives for people you love and know, but you know they're really not going to use them that often. I've given knives to people that I know just sit in a drawer. They don't really use them. Maybe occasionally they'll break it out and use it for something. But if you're not concerned with that person actually using it all the time and constantly needing to sharpen it, this makes a pretty cool little gift, and it's affordable, especially if you get the 3-packs. You know, you get different color combos. You know, they're cool gifts for the average person. For a knife person, they might give you a kind of a funny look, like, I guess you don't like me that much. Why'd you get me the shuffle? But yeah, for the average person, it can seem impressive. It's a cool, fun little knife. If you have like a buddy that doesn't like knives but loves to drink and has a need for a bottle opener, it's a pretty cool bottle opener. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's a subpar knife. Still a fan of Kershaw, just not this particular model. So there's my opinions on the Kershaw Shuffle. Let me know what you think down below. There's plenty of you watching this video who own one. Tell me your stories. Tell me, you know, that you don't like having to sharpen it all the time. Tell me that you dropped yours and it exploded, you know, whatever happened. I want to hear it. I want to hear your experiences with the shuffle, but mine just hasn't been that good. That's all. There's so many knives out there that are comparable in price range that just offer a little bit more. If you happen to like the design, or if you're going to use the bottle opener more than the knife, yeah, it ain't that bad. But for me, I'm using a knife way more than a bottle opener these days, so I'm not a fan. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and looking forward to the comments. I'll see you soon. Take care.